Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to talk about how to defeat the Forsaken Giant solo. The Forsaken Giant is the level 60 boss that you can find at the Forsaken Monolith. It is part of a quest, and there is also a season goal to kill the Forsaken Giant without being in a down state. The game recommends 4 players for this dungeon, but you can actually do it solo at level 50. We will talk about the mechanics of the fight and at the end some other quick tips that will improve your chances to survive and defeat the boss. In order to defeat this boss, you'll need to learn its mechanics, its attacks, and how to dodge them and do the maximum damage. As you can see, when you start the fight, on the boss's right hand there's a glowing weak spot. You can only efficiently damage the boss if you hit the weak spots, but that is not the only thing that it indicates. The glowing on his right arm means that he will slam the ground with the right arm. So when he slams the ground, you need to jump in order to avoid the shockwave. After that, you need to shoot the weak spot in order to damage the boss. After you do enough damage to that weak spot, he will do another special attack. This time, when he has his hands together like a prayer, one of his palms will start glowing, and that is another weak spot. But that also means that in this case, if his left palm is glowing, he will use that hand to do his next attack. So when he swings his left hand, go to the opposite corner and you can start shooting that weak spot and he will miss you. Do as much damage as possible to the weak spot. After that, the boss will start crying and you'll have another chance to do damage. I have a shrapnel build, and even if I don't hit the weak spot, there is a chance that the shrapnel will hit the weak spot and do damage to the boss. While he is crying, he will usually drop some orbs on the floor that you can throw at him to expose his weak spot. He will also spawn some enemies on the ground, but as you will see, I will just ignore them and focus on the things that matter, doing damage to the boss and dodging his attacks. If no orbs are on the ground that you can use to expose his weak spot, just avoid the enemies and the projectiles that the boss shoots. Now, as you can see, the right hand weak spot is glowing again. That means he will prepare a slam attack that will hit the ground. So you need to prepare to just jump in the air, and if you need, just glide until the shockwave passes. Then shoot the weak spot. Now his right palm is glowing, so you need to run to the opposite side. Just don't focus on anything else, don't focus on doing damage. If there are monsters still left, avoid them and just go to the other side. He will miss and then you'll have the ability to do some more damage. After that, another phase of crying happens, so you can start shooting and do some damage. At this point, a new phase will begin. You'll see a warning: the Forsaken Giant is about to destroy the battlefield. He will also spawn some new enemies. You can deal with the big guy on the ground, but the flying enemies will still shoot you, and it's harder to avoid the projectiles. But instead, what I found that it's more efficient is to kill the enemies that shoot the projectiles while running away from the big guy, and the other trash mobs shoot the flying enemies and then deal with the arbiter. In this phase you'll see a red light pillar that is following you, like there are some aliens trying to abduct you. Now a new mechanic will come into play. The area where you can run and fight the boss from is split in 3 sections: the left, the middle and the right. When you stop seeing the light, the section where you are at will be marked for the boss to do his power slam. This power slam will damage the floor arena and the shockwave will be instant compared with the normal slam that has a small delay. So make sure that when you stop seeing the light, you look at the boss's arm and you prepare to jump to be in the air when his fist hits the ground. After this you can focus on the arbiter and the light will appear again. Make sure that when the light disappears, you are in a different section. The sections are delimited by these 2 lines. The light disappeared, then prepare for the attack. Jump again, focus on the arbiter, and make sure the third time the light disappears, you are in the third section that wasn't hit. If the boss hits the ground in the same place multiple times, he will break the ground and you'll have a smaller area to actually run and avoid the damage and the enemies. After his third power slam, you'll see that a new weak point is glowing on his right hand, and that means another slam will come from the right side. So be prepared to jump again. Do enough damage to the weak spot and the palm will start glowing and you'll need to run to the opposite side. While this animation is going, again try to do as much damage as possible to the weak spot. Now his belly weak spot will be exposed, so you can start shooting, but also be prepared to dodge the orbs that are coming after you. And also the big orb that will go always in the center. Now a new crying phase has begun. Here I thought that he will do the animation to protect his belly, and I grabbed an orb from the ground, but instead his right arm weak spot is glowing again, so I dropped the orb and prepare to jump. After that, try to do damage to the weak spot. His right palm is glowing, so I'm running to his left side, dodge that and start shooting the weak spot if possible. Now his belly is exposed again. I do some damage, but my main focus is actually to dodge his attacks and survive. Now he's crying again. I can do some damage to his weak spot. Another phase will begin where he summons an arbiter and some flying enemies, and the light phase again. I go to the right side, he will slam that side. I am prepared to dodge and avoid the shockwave. I go to the left side, focus on the flying enemies and the arbiter. Here I did a small mistake and I didn't avoid the arbiter's big hit, so I took some damage. I have an item that pops in to recover my health, so make sure that you avoid the arbiter's attack. Now I'm on the center, the light disappears, I jump and avoid the damage and the enemies. And after his third power slam, he will do a normal slam with the normal shockwave. So make sure that you are prepared to dodge that also. If you haven't finished the arbiter, you can do it now. In this phase I didn't do that much damage to the boss, but because I was focusing on the arbiter, but always pay attention to his attacks. I was focusing on the arbiter, but as soon as I look at the boss, I see that his right hand is up in the air and I should run to the opposite side. But since I'm in the middle of the area, I realize that I don't have enough time to actually run to the other side, and I prepare my deviant to heal me up and take the hit. Make sure that you don't stay close to the edge near the boss when he does this attack, because he can easily push you off the platform and you'll just die and have to restart. So I have my festering gel to help me heal, and I finally managed to deal with the arbiter. If you reach this point, the boss will be so upset with your progress that will start slapping itself. At this point, some new circles and pillars will spawn on the ground, and of course you need to avoid that damage. Wait for the new phase to begin. Look at the signals, what he will do next and what attack he will use. His right hand weak spot started glowing, so he will do a smash with the right hand. That means that you need to be prepared to jump. After that he will expose his belly, a lot of missiles that you need to dodge, so you need to do some damage and then you need to make sure that you avoid his projectiles. After that his right hand palm is glowing, so he will do an attack with his right hand and will try to grab you. Make sure that you run to the other side. Again he will start crying and do the circles on the ground, so make sure that you avoid them. One thing to mention is that the direction of his attacks are not always the same. So make sure that you pay attention to the glowing weak spot on his right or left hand. Now he is doing another normal slam. He will expose his belly, doing some damage, and then avoid the projectiles. Now his right palm is glowing, so I'm too far away from the safe zone. So I just use the festering gel, take the hit, and try to do more damage. You could also have the festering gel out and take the flying orbs hit and hope that the festering gel can heal you faster than you take damage from the orbs. Or you can just play it safely like I did here and just do some damage and then fly to avoid the orbs. After that, the phases will repeat. You just need to do damage to the weak spot, avoid his slams, avoid his grab, and finish him. There are some consumables that you can use to make this fight easier. You could use items that give you double jump in order to avoid his shockwave attacks. You could use spring legs that will make you jump higher and then you can glide until the shockwave passes. And you can also use chloro armor that activates when the HP drops below 20% and will bring you to full health in 5 seconds. One last thing, the Forsaken Monolith main door is shut. So in order to reach the boss, you need to reach the teleport for the Forsaken Monolith. You'll see a door, follow the hallway. When you enter the main building, turn right and use the stairs. After that, follow the corridor and you'll reach the Rift Beacon. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like it and subscribe if you want to see more Once Human videos. Have a great day. Bye bye.